Do you like being offensive?
Oh, please, I am not offensive. I'll tell you, liberals like being offended is the issue.
No.
Documented immigrant who has lived in this nation for almost 22 years wants to, as a sign of my humanity and yours, recognize you and say, can I give you a hug?
No, let's get on with the question.
Okay.
But I wanted to ask you, what's your family's immigration story? Are you a Native American?
Why, yes, I am. I'm a settler. I'm descended from settlers, not from immigrants.
Well, it's not a Native American. But I have a question for you.
It's just an
No, if you mean Indian,
Were you already here when the Pilgrims showed up? Were your people here?
Well, no, but I'm not living in Cherokee Nation, so I am not an immigrant to Cherokee Nation. I'm living in America, which was created by settlers, not immigrants.
I have a question.
But
can I interrupt you for 2 seconds, please?
Yes, the poorest
I have a question. My mom taught me when I was younger, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And why do you think that it's important? Why do you think that's important to mudsling and have these words that obviously touch the hearts and souls of so many people of America being said when we're taught something different as a child? Could you explain that to me? And why do you think your success is based off of that?
Well, I'm at least talking about policy. You have a position on what people's names should be. Watermelondria. I mean, you'll insult people for their names. I'm talking about a government policy that affects all Americans and immigrants and the people living here, and it's harming our country.
So are you?
So you don't follow it.
Are you
I didn't ask
against?
you if, okay.
Are you?
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. I'm so sorry that they were so rude to you. You're like seriously my idol, though.
God
Seriously.
bless you. You see, all the pretty girls are on my side.
Thanks.
Absolutely not. You are wrong about that, and that is the interesting.
Kill anybody. That's all I'm saying.
No, it's of course it's not every. The point is, you look at it from the other end.
You know, and
When you look at the prison end, and no, it is not true that I'm leaving out race. There is, in fact, I cite a study by the Progressive Policy Institute, a liberal institute, saying that if you take single motherhood out of the equation, the black and white crime rates are exactly the same. So you take everything else out. Single motherhood is not good for children. That is a fact, and it is a fact that it is promoted.
Numbers are wrong. The numbers are wrong.
No, you're just citing other fanciful
Who get food
numbers.
stamps? Mostly white people. Only 10.3% of Hispanics get them.
No immigrants should be getting any government assistance. Why would any country take people who immediately go on government assistance? It's madness. We want people who bring our average up, who don't bring the average down. American government should be concerned with the American people, and by the way, that includes immigrants at this point. Immigrants who came in last year and the year before that.
Hey, here we are. And which Republican candidate has the best chance of winning the general election?
Of the declared ones, right now, Donald Trump.
Well, what about of all of them? I mean, Scott
fake
Walker.
Laughter from the audience.
Two women getting it on? Or?
No, the last time I did was the Katie Couric interview with Hillary Clinton. Other than that, I have no experience with two women having sex.
Are you taking a dig at Katie?
I read the whole book, and I think you're afraid of 2044. In 2044, non-Hispanic whites will become a minority, and you don't want that.
Well, I do think the whole country will be changed when it becomes a
But what's wrong with diversity?
white country.
What's wrong?
It's not diversity.
So you don't want people like me. No, you don't want people like me here.
No, it's not diversity. It's Mexican. One third of all immigrants come from one country. That is not diversity.
Your family came from Ireland, right?
No,
It's a European.
Mostly settlers, yeah, not immigrants.
All right. So do you want in the late 1800s and in the early 1900s there were signs, Nina signs, that said no Irish need apply.
No, that's nonsense.
So you want us to go back to those days?
No, well, A, that isn't true. I don't know what that has to do with anything. But
as I told you, they have Mandarins in the audience. They have Hispanics in the audience.
What is
Mandarin? It's exactly the opposite of demographic panic. It has nothing to do with
Asian Americans, Ann. Asian Americans, not Mandarins.
It has nothing to do with demographics.
But your throwback language, it's not 1913. They're called Asian Americans, not Mandarins.
As I was saying, it has nothing to do with demographics. It has to do with whether you are here legally or illegally, whether you consider yourself an American, whether the laws on the books are going to be enforced. an invasion of people across the southern border.
If your default in discussing Asian Americans is to call people Mandarins,
anyway,
we're not bringing back arcane language here, Ann. Let's just talk about people as Americans, Asian Americans. That's the
No, you're not going to get police my language. They are Mandarins. It is written in Mandarin.
The point is, before Teddy Kennedy's 1965 Immigration Act, there was more diversity in immigration. Diversity should mean we take an equal number from, all the countries in the world. I think that would be a stupid policy, but that would at least be diversity. Still talking. That's not what we're doing now. We are taking 30% of all legal immigrants from Mexico, 60% of all illegal immigrants from Mexico. Instead of taking 5% or more from 7 different countries, which was the case before 1965,
mostly European countries that you
we're
want.
taking them all from Mexico. Well, okay, but
so your problem is with Mexicans, but not with Europeans.
No, you said what's the matter with diversity. I'm telling you it's not diversity. I'm just getting our facts straight. And no, I didn't want to live in Mexico.
So
I don't want to live in Ireland. I don't want to live in Scotland. I wanted to live in America. Why don't liberals? Why do you think that the Mexicans who fled here want to recreate Mexico here? No, it helps your power because your media desirability goes up a lot. But you're not speaking for the immigrants who came here from Mexico. They left Mexico. They came
and
to
it's an economic situation. It's simply an economic situation. They come here because there are thousands of American companies who hire them, and because there are millions of Americans, including you, who benefit from their work.
It's more than economic because you have something like 2.4 trillion people in the world living on like $2 a year. They'd all like to come here. Mexico happens to be within walking distance. So you're the one who's discriminating against the poor Bangladeshis who would love to come here, but they can't walk across the border. Why should we discriminate against them?
So let me just say this at the end.
It is not diversity. It is just changing our culture without checking with the American people into Mexico.
Let me just finish with this. So you think there are way too many immigrants in this country?
It's not only that there are way too many, we're getting immigrants who are immediately going on welfare, who are committing crime. No immigrants should be committing crime.
The majority of immigrants are not terrorists or criminals.
The number should be 0. Why would you invite? Look, we can't do anything about our own underclass. We can't do anything about native criminals. We can do something about people we're inviting into our country.
So let me know about
Before
Latino immigrants.
Immigrants were more likely to graduate from college, were more likely to make more money, were less likely to be on welfare, were more likely to own their own homes. Post-1970, upside down.
That is not true. Second generation Latinos
Not true.
tend to get better jobs, better salaries, better salaries. They go to college. You have 4 million Latinos who have bachelor's degrees. This is 1.4 million Latinos who have PhDs or master's degrees.
Better than what? Better than their parents,
better
not
than
better than the native population.
Better than their parents. That's second generation
Latinos.
Latinos.
Their parents
who cares,
we're
Ann?
utter peasants. Doing better than their parents isn't better than the native population.
Second generation Latinos are doing much better.
Are doing much better than
their parents. Of course.
No, we're not in an international humanitarian process here. American government should be protecting the American people, not helping out the people of the world. This isn't an international charity mission.
Well, that's the tradition in this country, and this is a country that was formed by immigrants, including your family and my family. We all came from another country.
I didn't come from another country.
Well, your family did.
No, it didn't.
Of course it did.
No, it didn't.
Of course it did.
There was no, it did not. My family came from America because there was no America until they came.
Okay, before your parents, they came from somewhere.
If they taught American history,
Let's do one thing.
Apparently they don't. The first people here back in the 1600s were not immigrants. They were settlers. They came to a society or a continent
that had
no country. They created this country. The Dutch, mostly the British, created America.
So they
were not immigrants.
So
nor were the first 17 presidents.
Your family came from another country, so did mine.
No, they weren't. My relatives are American.
All right, let's take a break.
You are a cultural imperialist.
Thank you so much. And
the rest of your profession seems to think its job is to demand apologies from Republicans, never from Democrats. No, Obama will never be asked to apologize for something. Hillary will never be asked to apologize for something. As I say in the book, I think there are more child molesters than genuine racists in America.
But you actually believe that?
I can save you a lot of time. Anything I say, I actually believe.
Do you? So do you think that children of undocumented immigrants should be denied in-state tuition because of someone else's illegal actions?
I gather you're saying that because, oh, what about the children? It's not. Well, look, anybody any parent breaking the law is going to be a problem for the child. Those Enron executives, their children have suffered horribly. Should we just say, oh, no, we can't put the Enron executives in prison. Those BP officials, if they have to pay those huge fines, their children will suffer, and it's not the children's fault. I'm sorry, when people break the law, there are consequences for the kids. It is whenever parents break the law. Oh, well.
And her name was Rennie, I can't pronounce the last name.
Riefenstahl.
Riefenstahl, thank you.
Right, celebrated by Hollywood.
And she had a shocking resemblance to you, and do you realize that she did more to promote hatred? Filmmaker.
That's a very good argument. Okay. I'm much like a Nazi.
So, my point is...
Liberals are just getting smarter and smarter. I don't engage in hate speech. I engage in speech. And yes, it's part of the long Anglo-Saxon tradition of thinking that free speech and the contest of ideas, the truth will emerge. It goes back to John Stuart Mill.
Well, I think the people that are standing here will agree with me.
Attributes of a place like America
some of the things that you've been saying and continue to say and spewing hate speech.
Next question, Ray Lastre.
You don't have a tradition of John Stuart Mill.
Last question, go ahead.
I came here with a shirt that says traitor here, and she actually signed it up there, and she says, what did she? Have fun in Guantanamo.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, I know.
Don't you think this is a stronger nation because it's more diverse, more tolerant?
It's not more diverse, it's more Mexican.
I think it's more diverse, much more diverse.
No, it
in 2044, minorities will be the majority in this.
But it isn't diverse.
I think diversity is just fantastic.
No, you
I
don't.
think diversity is
you want it to be
beautiful.
All Mexican.
No. I think we're just arguing for more diversity and more tolerance in this country.
We have taken in 1/4 of the entire Mexican population. At what point will we have taken in enough, in your view?
I think that with a legal system,
the entire Mexican population.
No, I think with a legal system, we wouldn't need, and we wouldn't be having hundreds of people dying crossing the border.
That isn't an answer to the question. 1/4 of the Mexican population. How much
because
more
it's
do we have
simply
to take?
it's an economic situation. As long as you have people here who need immigrants and workers, and as long as you have workers needing a job, they're going to be coming here. It's an economic
they need
situation.
Workers who are subsidized by the middle class.
This is a serious issue, and to send out a victim to wave our Constitution at us and tell us our Constitution requires us to admit Muslims? No, it doesn't.
I mean, in a way, I don't blame the immigrants. I blame the politicians. This is very clear from my book. This is a bad, corrupt policy, and it is being pushed by the Democrats because they want poor people who will be forever in need of government assistance. They can employ lots of government workers, so it helps the Democrats that way. It helps the elites and people in need of a lot of cheap labor who refuse to mechanize, farmers, and of course, Wall Street bankers. They all have nannies, they have chefs, they have gardeners. Their lives are so much better. So to help some tiny little elite, we are bringing in poorer people who will need welfare, but they'll block vote for the Democrats.
You said, adios, America.
I have a column. Well,
how
that's
the left is conspiring to make this a third world hellhole.
Okay, you can complain about my title later.
Do you really believe that the left is conspiring to make this a third world hellhole? That it's a conspiracy?
Yes, because they're winning elections now. Obama would not have won election but for the post-1970
I remember what they said about the Irish in the 19th century, the same thing. The Democrats are bringing in the Irish because they want to be able to,
right. Not only were they right, but we were allowed to criticize the Irish. We're not allowed to criticize Hispanics or be accused of racism. No, only African Americans can claim racism, not somebody who arrived yesterday.
Look, there are a lot of writing techniques. I feel like I'm more of an English teacher whenever, people fixate on this line or that line, and I have to explain what hyperbole is and what understatement is, and this is a surprise.
To what he said,
Let's get to the issues.
Wait, that is an issue.
Why am I?
Okay, all right. Let me ask it. All right, just give me one.
No one is voting for Donald Trump because of his character or personality. We never were. It was always about his issues, and this is coming up so that we can talk about the issues, which is what I really want to talk about.
Okay, we will.
It is shocking crime after shocking crime, and yes, we are importing primitive cultures in enormous numbers, not just from Mexico, from the Middle East. Okay, I did not know we had a crowd that was so fond of clitorectomies and honor killings and child rape, but apparently we do. Americans aren't used to these sorts of crimes.
No, I'm what's known as a Trump supporter or banned.
And it's not illegal immigration, it is immigration. The point of saying it is immigration is, again, to say these are people who have no right to be here. There are way too many immigrants who are criminals. There shouldn't be any. Way too many, shouldn't be any. See, it rhymes. It's easy to remember here. Except, I mean, it's not George Soros or Warren Buffett's children who are going to have to worry about being raped by a peasant culture that's been brought in here. It's all being dumped on the middle class, the lower class in America, and that includes immigrants who went to a lot of trouble to escape the peasant cultures they were living in because they wanted to live in America. And if we don't cut off bringing in millions and millions of these very backwards cultures, we're not going to have America anymore. Not the America that people struggle to come to. For some reason they came here, they didn't go to Honduras, they didn't go to Bangladesh, they didn't go to Indonesia, they wanted to live in America. I wanted to live in America. Can't we please save America?
But I wanted to check, are you still undocumented, as you say? Because I want to get Sheriff Joe on the line.
No, I'm not, but I realized that I was a boy when my private part was different than my sister's. So there's things that we see that this makes us different. So you didn't really answer the question.
I mean, if you're proud of being an American, what would
you
you think of the fact, as I have in my book, and I assume you guys haven't read my book yet, but I hope you will, what would you think of the fact that Carter judges started presiding over citizenship ceremonies conducted in Spanish?
Well, I speak both languages, so I'm good. I don't know about you.
So you don't care that
no, I mean,
an
I can
American
speak both
citizenship,
languages.
okay.
But
I'm definitely calling
the reality is that my
Joe.
mom was deported, and because she was deported, I ended up getting papers. So this is the messed up system that we have.
Okay, well, I'm thinking that we really want citizens who are speaking English and love the country with such an emotional intensity described by Justice Brandeis that you would react in horror at the fact that citizenship ceremonies are being conducted in foreign languages.
Thank you very much.
Oh, she didn't say you people. She didn't say you people. She said you peasants.
If it's the same, if you're like paraphrasing accurately, if it's the same, just use my words.
Okay.
Where do you think you stand in the political landscape in this country? Are you a commentator, a satirist? What exactly are you?
An American patriot. So I'm thinking that a lot more of you agree with me than are claiming to right now for fear of being called racist. In fact, Mexican immigrants didn't stay there. They didn't immigrate to Honduras.
No, because
China didn't immigrate to
country.
Pakistan.
They
wanted to come to the country that is or was America. If this continues, it is not going to be America.
Why isn't it America if there are more people from Latin America and from Asia?
Because these are very, very different cultures. Very different cultures. What determines the least corrupt countries is number of years of British rule and Protestantism.
It is the poorest people who are having immigrants come in to compete for their jobs. They are not competing for the bankers' jobs. They are making sure that the bankers have very cheap nannies, maids, pool boys, drivers. Meanwhile, all jobs are being outsourced so that the rich can become even richer. But we have our own poor people, we have our own middle class people. They're the ones, I think, an immigration policy should be geared to helping. And you're not helping people by pretending the laws of supply and demand don't work when it comes to bringing in workers who are going to compete only with our poorest Americans. Actually, it's moving up into our middle-class Americans with the H-1B visas and all of the computer programmers who their jobs are being taken too. No, it's the very rich who are benefiting from this dump of cheap labor on the country that also happens to be changing the culture. And their maids aren't living in their neighborhoods. You know, they're coming in from the suburbs. They're not seeing what's happening, how the country is changing, and how people are suffering. I say we have an immigration moratorium until our unemployment rate is 0. When it's 0, then we can bring in more workers to compete with America.
In other words, fight amongst yourselves while Ann and the Republicans push for more tax cuts for the same people creating income inequality.
I think I'm perfectly capable of speaking for myself, and instead of letting me, well, eventually letting me answer, and then saying, in other words, you people suck is what she's saying. I think they heard what I said.
I know that. I love it. I couldn't possibly do more damage to you than you.
Nothing too effective, because you then have to mischaracterize it in other words.
Do you want tax cuts for the rich? And Coulter quote here, and then we'll take another question. In 1960, whites were 90% of the country. The Census Bureau recently estimated that whites already account for less than 2/3 of the population and will be a minority by 2050. Other estimates put that day much sooner. One may assume the new majority will not be such compassionate overlords as the white majority has been.
Yes, I can illustrate.
Said the woman who just said, oh yeah, we might owe blacks a couple of things, but you know, I mean, the whites have been such sensitive overlords of minorities in this country.
You did the, in other words again, I said nothing of the sort. I'm saying black Americans, people who are descended from slaves and from people who were destroyed.
I know, but in that quote, I know that sounds better in the original German, right?
Jim Crow. Oh, that's so original. Oh, I've never heard that before. Descendants of people who were enslaved, who were victims of Jim Crow, incidentally enforced by the Democrats.
Instead of wasting that time repeating your point, I was asking about that quote,
well, if you're going to
where
do
you
one
said that whites were such benevolent overlords.
Got the question. But your, in other words, here is wasting a lot of time. No, it wasn't in other words. You said something about black people. I was talking about how the country is changing from immigrants we are bringing in who are piggybacking on the black experience. Will the new immigrants, my overlords, be as compassionate as the white overlords are? I think it was illustrated when you read that quote. When you got to, whites will be a minority, I heard the audience cheer. Can you imagine an audience of white people cheering? Oh, it's going to be all white. No, you cannot.
Truth be told, I think I'm a moderate and the rest of the world is crazy. I will accept the right wing.
What a good line.
Just real quick, so are you in favor of raising the minimum wage?
Naturally, I'm in favor of it being naturally raised.
So not by law?
The iron law of supply and demand.
So not by law. Not by law. Not by law. So just be clear, the person who asked the question, the answer is no, not by law.
Every answer is in other words.
Right. No, but you just said it. I just want to be clear.
I think it was perfectly clear. It was unclear your fake version of my answer.
Last question.
Okay, they invaded Afghanistan, they destroyed
Okay, so why are you living in Afghanistan if it's such a great peasant culture?
Because there's another culture there still fucking killing people, that's why.
That's not a good culture.
You are pretty harsh with these people.
Thank you. You know, they completely missed, but they got their faces smashed and they're in prison.
You were obligation to, I'm not hyperventilating, I'm disagreeing with you, which apparently is insulting your teeny tiny male ego.
The Republican Party is the party, the only of the two parties, that treats women as sentient human beings and not as a vagina on sticks, and thinks, for example, that women care about the economy and care about terrorism, you know, they don't have to run special ads. I mean, you don't see the Democratic Party running on, how will we help men get a prostate exam? Why? Because the Democratic Party acknowledges that men are smart enough to figure out how to get a prostate exam. And if they call up the doctor and he can't do it, they can figure out how to get it some other way. But this is apparently very big with the Democrats in appealing to women because, again, we are vaginas on sticks.
She's wrong and Graham is right. I think most are hardworking people that come from poor and corrupt countries to make a better life.
They are, and that's a good thing.
So what? Good for them. Very admirable. Is it good for America? All we ever hear is diversity is a strength, diversity is strength. We're a nation of immigrants. These are lies. You never get to hear the other side. Look, 70%, more than 70% of illegal immigrants are accepting government assistance.
That's not true.
It's absolutely true. So maybe before polling people, you should have the facts.
If they're not eligible for food
stamps. Yes, they are. They're eligible for all kinds of government assistance. You're completely wrong.
For some, their children get educated. They get hospital emergency room treatment.
And I think you're wrong about food stamps, and they get health care. They often get housing assistance.
They don't get welfare. They don't get Section 8 housing.
No, they don't get one form of welfare. People who are poor and coming from dysfunctional cultures, from corrupt cultures, who are used to being bossed around, are not going to be, working harder than Americans and less likely to accept government assistance. And they are driving down low-wage workers. Income inequality is through the roof. They aren't taking your job. They're probably not taking any of your jobs. But they are taking jobs of people at the bottom of the income ladder, and there are fellow Americans.
Doing jobs Americans often don't want to do.
They don't want to do them free. They don't want to do them for $3 an hour.
Or it's illegal to do it for $3.
No, I want to bring in more people to compete with you for your job. No, but that's not what oh, no, that's not what happens. That's not our immigration policy. So you can be macho and say that, but that's not what's happening.
In your book, you say something very provocative, I think. You say it might be worth paying more for your yard work. What do you mean?
Right. Well, I think that was right, as I described an illegal alien who had raped a young girl at her parents' home when he had come to he was the landscaper, so he had come to do the work and broke in and raped this young girl who he was living not particularly in the shadows. And I mean, the main point of that story was how the media are always hiding that these are immigrants, sometimes illegal, sometimes not illegal, who are committing a lot of these heinous crimes. It's always, North Carolina man indicted on child rape. So frankly, we don't know after this weekend exactly how many Americans were killed by immigrants in drunk driving accidents, in heinous murders like this one in San Francisco. It'll take a few weeks, maybe a year, to wait for the court transcripts for the media to even tell us the truth. The government won't tell us the truth. The media won't tell us the truth. But the people in America know what the truth is. Unfortunately, the Chamber of Commerce and the Wall Street Journal don't. And most of these Republicans are busy sucking up to the rich and don't care about the workers. I'm so sick of this nonsense about Donald Trump being the racist here. He's the one who was speaking for working class Americans, for African Americans. How about, have you seen the black teenage unemployment rate? Why shouldn't they be getting those jobs? It's Donald Trump who is speaking up for them.
And that upsets some people. You understand that phrase, swarthy males, can be offensive to some people.
No, actually, I rather like swarthy males. Well, just look at the Los Angeles County's most wanted list, whether it's the top 10 or the top 100. The idea that immigrants are committing crime at a lower rate than the native population is preposterous. My complaint, as described in the book, and why this book became this book rather than just a few chapters, was that the government won't simply count and tell us. So whatever facts there are, it's always people looking at ancillary facts, things like a most wanted list. Why doesn't the government just count?
No, I love the New York Times. I'd be out of business but for the New York Times. This is a serious argument for the death penalty. It won't happen with all people, but the idea is that when they're faced with something as serious as death, that what they've done to someone else, it will really strike them and it will encourage repentance, and that it will encourage a larger number to save their souls, at least for the afterlife, rather than just spending 40 years in prison watching the Playboy Channel and weightlifting.
Forgive me.
I do think liberals are going to be very happy when they immigrate to Canada.
That for a second and get to the Southern strategy. Yeah. Because I've specifically disproved it. It's an absolutely liberal folklore. Republicans were winning the South since 1920. It was the outer states of the South. It was Texas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia.
Voting. What are you talking about? We weren't allowed to vote.
Who was trying to get them to vote? Republicans were.
Yeah,
and the first
black congressmen were all Republicans, and the first black governor was a Republican.
You're talking about way back.
After is so different from
No, that is definitely what we're told. But in fact, the Democratic segregationists were all liberal Democrats. It is a lie that they were conservative Democrats.
It was a segregationist, darling. You know, basically, everybody was. White people were. It didn't matter whether they were Republicans or not.
Ask you a question. The first segregationists. Just read chapter 14 in this book. The first Republicans to be elected in the South.
Listen to my grandmother, who was there, who remembers what happened.
Howard Baker, an aggressive integrationist, first Republican elected in Tennessee to the Senate. You have Winthrop Rockefeller, first Republican governor in
But you know, I have a question
Arkansas.
about today.
Integration.
Let me ask you something about what's going on now. It seems to me...
The Southern strategy is a lie.
It seems to me that voter suppression...
I think you're my first Hindu.
Good. I feel honored.
It's nice. You're doing a good job for the Hindus.
I mean, that is just a smear, and the same smear we hear about every single Republican. Oh, white males, white males. It's the hackiest comedians. Oh, it's a white male. Can you please move on from that? I mean, you have beaten the horse to death. The horse is dead. We have to drag the horse out of the room. We just stop with the white male stuff. The only guy, and I did not say Republicans don't play it. They do play it. The new Trumpian Republican Party doesn't play it. They don't. He does not look at people as
Mexicans or Muslims?
No, well, no.
Or women?
Yeah, he's still talking.
Or Megan?
And in fact, unlike Hillary Clinton, who pays the women in her office less than she pays the men, Donald Trump has always run female-heavy organizations. He's, as far as I know, the first person to make women foremen of projects here in New York. These women struggling, they're not asking for a handout, not asking, oh, please tell me how to get an abortion. They just want to be treated the same as men. And you know, they're having to be better than men all the time. And who's the one person who says, I'm going to give you a chance. I'm going to make you a foreman. And oh, do they love Donald Trump. What I love about Trump is, including in his attacks, which are very funny, I think he has achieved some sort of platonic ideal of non-discrimination. He will attack a woman's looks the same way he'll attack a man for his looks. He will attack someone with a disability the same way he will attack someone without a disability. And yeah, if Mexicans are the ones coming over illegally, he will attack Mexican rapists coming across the border. You can imagine him appointing a woman Hindu to be the Secretary of Defense if that's the best person for the job, and you can also imagine him having an all-white male cabinet if those are the best people for the job. He does not care, and I love that about him. And to say that he is practicing identity politics is just the same old playbook that we have heard every 4 years against every Republican. Oh, it's for white males. It's the party of theocracy and tax cuts. Not Trump. Oh, no.
But just answer that question. Yeah, but just answer the question of racism and misogyny within the Trump campaign.
These are slanders because they don't want to talk about what I keep trying to talk about and you keep cutting me off from talking about. It is about the issues. That's what people are voting for. It is about trade. It is about jobs.
I am responding to a culture out of Hollywood, the courts, the elite media that is promoting single motherhood. They are not promoting single fatherhood or deadbeat dads.
What do you say to women who say, you are demonizing single moms?
All I'm doing is citing statistics.
So if you have a 10-year moratorium on legal immigration, what does that do about what you claim to be the problem of illegal immigration? How is that going to stop illegal immigration?
No. My complaint is not with illegal immigration. Republicans have a silicone chip in their brain that means Democrats say diversity is strength. Republicans say we love legal immigration. It's just no. This is a book about immigration.
Just immigration in
not
general.
Illegal immigration. I mean, I start with amnesty because that'll finish the country in 5 years, as opposed to the plan we're on now with legal immigration. But I mean, what I would like to do, and this is what I began thinking I do, is we just fix the rules so we do it the way we did it pre-1970. Bring in immigrants who are better than us and make the country better.
What about in the early
20th
20th century? I mean, that's what Milton Friedman favors. Milton Friedman favored a time of illegal immigration because when you started these social programs and people came over for very different reasons than they did at the turn of the century.
Well, it's more than them just coming. Our rules are set up to make it virtually impossible for people to come in and compete, for example, with Mark Zuckerberg for his job. They will be competing for Mark Zuckerberg's landscaper's job. We're not getting...
But there are people who say that's not the worst thing, because if you've got a landscaper...
Well, the landscapers think so.
Well, not necessarily, because if you're working in a low-wage, low-skilled job for a short amount of time, creating capital, you know, you are A, adding to the economy, and B, bettering your life so you can go on to do
No, you're not
other
adding
things.
to the economy. You are
yes,
adding
you are.
to the income.
Immigrants are the grease of the wheel in the economy.
Well, that's just cliche, but
it's not. It
doesn't mean anything.
Study after study
okay, we'll discuss how this works. If you have low-wage immigrants coming in, taking more from the government than they're paying in, that isn't helping the economy. What it's helping is the employer. It may help the low-wage immigrant. It's definitely hurting the people who would be competing for that job, including recent immigrants.
Okay, so if you say that immigrants...
It's definitely hurting people who pay taxes, which unfortunately is only half the country. Now, the
but with E-Verify, even
will...
if they have false Social Security numbers, you still have a lot of immigrants who come into this country, work really hard, and pay taxes. Therefore, they're adding to the system. But also,
they're not paying
if you
taxes.
have, yes, they are. If you have a landscaper,
that is not
yes,
true.
they are. Someone who uses
true.
a Social Security number to get a job and an employer who uses E-Verify, they are certainly paying taxes.
No, they are not paying taxes. They are accepting more back in not only
okay, now when you
which is vastly expensive.
When you say accepting more back, this is a point where we agree. And I'm wondering if your view would change if you ended the entitlement state. So if people were
not... that's not going to happen. End the law of gravity.
Well, I mean, it's also not going to happen that people are going to stop coming here. I mean, those are both theoretical propositions.
Well, sure, they stopped coming to Israel. Israel put a fence up and defended its country.
Shabbat shalom.
And so so does Switzerland. In fact,
but in California, if you had people who could not, as you say, take more from the government, which is a debatable claim, would you therefore be more in favor of open borders?
Half of Americans don't pay taxes. But you're saying that these minimum wage workers are paying taxes?
A lot of them are, yeah. I mean, there are a lot of jobs that you pay in cash.
If only we were getting the wealthy immigrants who are contributing so much and paying taxes. Those aren't the
non-wealthy immigrants come here and they work their ass off. Okay, here's what you need. Honestly,
yeah, they can work hard, but that isn't the point.
Honestly, do you have Mexican friends? Do you have like real Mexican friends?
This isn't about having friends. I have friends who are. It doesn't matter who my friends are. I care about my fellow Americans. I care about the middle class. I care about the working class. I care about Americans losing their jobs and immigrants losing their jobs. And they are the ones, the middle class, subsidizing the rich's cheap labor so they can underpay the maid because they may work hard, but oh boy, do they access
if you are paying
services.
A maid and you are paying a landscaper and you are paying a nanny, those are three jobs you are not doing. You are able to go out there and earn more money and therefore
may not
improve
be
the economy.
It's apparently that every time, you know, they have to actually pay taxes on these maids, the rich say, oh, never mind. When they have to pay for a legal maid, as the New York Times has reported, oh no, that's too much. They want the middle class
we
to
should have all union maids. We should have a maid union.
An angry third worlder, I think a Muslim, got up and asked a question and said...
Why do you say Muslim? What is Muslim?
Anyway, I'm trying to be sensitive to how they say it. Okay. And he said, oh, but you have to understand, I mean, with an accent, clearly an immigrant, you have to understand that the reason we hate America is because of things America's doing around the world. And he was very angry about it. And I said, look, fine, I understand that. My point is you should not be immigrating here. Yeah. Stay in your country and hate us.
Hate us over there.
Yeah.
The Democrats and Hillary Clinton see African Americans only as voters. They don't care about, the Democrats don't care about your lives or your jobs. Immigration and a border wall is the great unifier. Trump promises to put Americans first, to protect their neighborhoods, but most of all to bring jobs back, to end these job-killing trade deals. He's the first person to ever come along and say, maybe we should care about just emptying out the manufacturing base of America and to stop dumping low-wage workers on the country. I mean, that is the big issue he has. All of the debate happens and the ideas come from the right. And the one idea we keep hearing from the Democrats is Republicans are mean. That's it.
Okay, little pro tip. Back taxes for they're not making enough money to pay taxes. Back taxes mean we give each illegal alien approximately $30,000 in earned income tax credit refunds. It means we
got another
pay
segment.
them.
Stay right there.
It is a lie.
Ann Coulter, her book is Trump is Great. Thank you very much.